big change you'll notice is Germany, at this point divided between 5 different states. Then, just 1 year on, and that was almost solely down to the work of this man, Otto von Bismarck. Bismarck's origins were relatively obscure. He'd been raised as a middling Prussian Junker, the landed aristocracy that dominated much of the kingdom's politics. Astonishingly tall for the time period, he ate and drank on a gargantuan scale. With his thick moustache and bushy eyebrows, Disraeli wrote to Queen Victoria that he resembled an ogre in appearance. But he had a fine, little head, delicate hands, and most surprisingly, a thin and reedy voice rather than the deep and booming echo one might have expected. Appallingly cynical, boundlessly resourceful, and utterly ruthless, he was also a witty and charming conversationalist, regularly wept in public, inspired devoted loyalty and admiration even from his enemies. No one in Berlin or any other European court could ever quite get the measure of this half-mad Prussian. He was consequently shunted from posting to posting in his early diplomatic career, seemingly destined for little more than a comfortable ambassadorship in Paris. When he surprised everyone with his sudden appointment as Minister-President, head of the Prussian government in 1862, it was only because of a full-blown constitutional crisis between the king and the nation's parliament, the Landtag. Wilhelm, a conservative, wanted to implement major reforms to the Prussian army, the most contentious of which was a 3-year service law for conscripts. But that required money, which the Landtag, controlled by liberals opposed to royal power, refused to give. That the king turned to Bismarck and accepted the maverick's demands for total control over the government was a sign of how desperate he was. The new minister-president's solution to the crisis was to use a loophole in the constitution that allowed him to collect the previous year's taxes without the Landtag's consent. This plan went down like a cup of cold sick. The army reform was implemented, but the liberals were furious, and the king seemed ready to offer them Bismarck's head in response. Military reform, though, had only ever been a means to an end for Bismarck. The Prussia he had inherited was the weakest of the